Hello everyone. In this short video, I will talk about some useful hints and tips which are important for giving any type of presentation. We always afraid when we are asked or when we are required to present in front of audience or public. The purpose of our presentation is different. For example, sometimes the students are required to deliver a presentation which is related with the course on any topic. So, being an individual, you have to present in front of other individuals or sometime in front of groups, general public. The purpose of presentation could be different. For example, it could be a semester project, a course project, it could be a thesis presentation, your final year project presentation. Even if you are a researcher, so you are required to present at different conferences, public seminars, or maybe you are invited to give a talk or a lecture on a specific topic. Or if you are working within an organization, so sometimes you are required to give a presentation in front of the high ups. So it is important when you are going to present to any public on any topic, you have to introduce yourself and you have to talk a little bit about your organization with which you are actually affiliated with. The contents of today's presentation is that first I will talk about a communication model in general and then some communication skills which are actually required for delivering any useful presentation, and then some presentation skills and how to acquire them, and finally some tips for presenting any topic. So this is actually the road map, and it is important whenever you are going to deliver a presentation, you have to develop the contents or your roadmap of the presentation. Actually, it gives an idea to the audience about the journey of your presentation, from where you are going to start and where you are actually taking the audience. So it is important to make the contents short and make them as useful as possible. And it is also important to make the contents brief and very specific to the type of presentation that you are actually delivering. Okay, so the communication model, actually we have different components in a communication model. For example, we have a sender, which in your case is actually yourself who is going to present. The presenter is the sender of the message, and we have the actual message, which is the contents of your presentation which you are going to present. And then on the other side we have the receiver, which are actually the audience. It could be your students, it could be your professors, it could be your examiners, it could be your teachers, evaluators, other researchers, administrations, even it could be your friends or classmates. So it depends on the type of audience, and it is important to know about your audience for whom you are going to present. So it is important to know about your audience. So this is a general model in which we have a sender and we have a receiver and we have the actual message. So for delivering the message, we need a medium. For example, in this case, the medium is like I am using the YouTube channel to convey my message. You can use the classroom, you can use the air as a medium for delivering your message, and there are different kind of noises which should be ignored as much as possible. For example, for a teacher, the noises are actually normally created by the students, and the students who are not actually interested in the class or in the contents. So you have to know about the audience, and also you have to present your message in an efficient way. Similarly, we have to encode the message. Like you think you give you actually give words to your thoughts when you are delivering a lecture. And on the receiver side, we have to decode the message. The students or the audience actually try to understand your message by picking the meanings from the words or from the pictures that you have presented in your presentation. So it is important for to encode your message in a very simple way, to convey your message in a very simple way, right? So this is actually a communication model. It can be applied to other areas as well. For example, you can apply it to communication within a network. So for delivering an efficient presentation, you actually require some skills, and some of the skills are mentioned here, like listening is one of the important skill that need to be developed. Now you may ask question that being a presenter, why listening is important. So listening is important because it actually attract the attention of your audience. So listen carefully with attention. uh, but only listening is useless. For example, you are listening to this lecture, for example, and without giving proper attention, so that is useless. You have to listen with attention, so that is important. And you know that we have 2 years, so it means we have to listen more, and we have one tongue though, so it's mean that we have to talk less and we have to listen more. We all feel proud when we talk more about something, but very few of us will feel proud while they are listening. So it is important to feel proud while you are listening. If you are a good listener, so you must appreciate yourself for this quality. So listen carefully to the audience. You can listen to their impressions, to their feelings, and also to their questions that they are going to ask. You can also listen to their feedbacks or their suggestions at the end of your presentation. So listening is an important skill. Similarly, you have to use the body language while you are giving your presentation. For that, you have to use different signs, like you have to use your eye contact with the individual audience. Give each individual the impression that your whole attention is toward him or toward her. But do not use, this is one of the tip, do not use excessive movement while you are giving your presentation, or do not use excessive body language while you are delivering your talk. This is important to note because sometimes it creates a disturbance within the audience. So do not be stationary at one location at one point. You have to move randomly, passively, but not excessively, right? So this is one tip. Another communication skill is confidence. You have to be confident about what you are delivering. Enable others to trust on you and rely on what you are providing to them. And this will build a level of confidence in you. Also, rehearsal is important, which actually build confident level, and you have to prepare your talk very well in advance before going to deliver it. It will also build some confidence. Be clear and concise about your presentation. One tip here is to use short and clear sentences. Stick to the main points. Use simple language, and there is a principle which is called the KISS principle, and that is keep it simple, stupid. So you have to make the things simple, and you have to keep the things simple while you are delivering a lecture. So you have to keep these tips in mind while you are delivering your lecture. Another important thing is that you have to be positive, and it actually have a huge impact on your presentation. People actually love to talk with those who have positive attitude, so you have to show positive attitude towards your audience. uh, Similarly, I will give another tip here, and that is you have to show respect. You have to respect your audience, their feedback, even if they provide you a negative feedback. Sometimes it is important for building your own skills. Sometimes audience will ask you some stupid questions. Remember that no question is stupid. Maybe you do not understand them, or maybe you do not understand the audience, their capabilities or other things. So do not ignore your audience. Speak to them politely, show respect towards them, listen to them carefully, and this will actually help you to build a good relationship with your audience. And another communication skill is like the feedback, which is important from both the side, from the side of the presenter and as well as from the listener's side. You have to give them a chance to ask questions, and for that you have to build a friendly environment with your listeners. So talk with them during your presentation. You can actually engage your audience while you are giving presentation. You may ask different logical questions, simple questions. You can share some jokes with them while you are delivering your presentation. And feedback from the side of the audience could be in the form of clapping. If you like the presentation, you have to clap, or if you do not like the presentation, you have to clap because the presentation is over. So being a presenter, you need to thank the audience, and being an audience, you have to thank the presenter, right? So these are some skills which need to be built for an efficient presentation. And now some skills for presentation. Those were skills for communication. Now these are skills for presentation, which is the main focus of this talk. Uh, actually, these are the skills or the qualities that you need to create in order to deliver a clear and effective presentation. And these presentation skills will come with time, but they come only when you learn them and when you apply them, when you practice them, because learning is by doing, not by listening or not by communicating. So that is by doing. So you have to practice these skills that I am going to share with you. Some of the presentation skills are here. The first thing is that you need to plan your presentation. Well, planning your presentation means that you have to do some homework on developing the contents of the presentation. What are your objectives of delivering this presentation of you have to do some rehearsal. You need to know about your target audience, and you have to know about the organization in which you are going to present. So you have to be prepare for these things, and you have to prepare these things. The message is important, the contents of your presentation is important. You have to write down the key points, what are going to be the key points of your presentation. You have to focus on the order, the logical order of the slides in which you are going to present you are going to give your message. So you must be clear about the logical order of your presentation. You have to use visuals in your presentation, and this is very much important. You have to put less text while you have to put more audio or visual or animation or effects in your presentation. Design of your presentation is important. Sometimes you are required to keep your presentation to a limited number of slides and a limited number of words. So the design is also important. Similarly, the design of the presentation means that the font size of the presentation, we will talk about them later on. So the design is important. Animations is important to be to make them part of your presentation. Similarly, engagement your audience is important. For example, this lecture is a one-way communication, but you have to make your presentation a two-way approach. Interaction for that is important. You have to ask the audience during your presentation and after your presentation. And number of slides. If you put too much slides in your presentation and the audience actually see the number of slides at the beginning of the presentation, so it will create an impact, a burden of them. For example, if your presentation has 200 slides, so at the beginning of the presentation your audience will get bored. So it is important to keep the number less. Well, this is not only for the presentation, but I usually, if you have a meeting with someone, so you have to arrive early and you have to prepare your horses before the war. Be prepared that make sure that your slides are actually running, make sure you have to your rehearsal, make sure that the multimedia projector is working, and arrive before actual time. Okay, so you are not supposed to make excuses. For example, hey, my dog ate my PowerPoint presentation, so I am late, or I am not able to present. So these are excuses which are not acceptable to anyone. So arrive early is the tip from my side. Your personal appearance is important. It does matter. Proper dress, formal dress, sometime are required to use desired dress, for example, three-piece suit. You have to avoid, for example, I saw some students, they get up from their bed in the morning and they come to the university and present their topic. So that is like an awkward attitude. You have to be prepared for your presentation, not only that you have prepared your content, but you have to prepare yourself. Your personal appearance matters a lot. You must look decent, elegant, professional. You have to give a professional look to your audience. You have to inspire them, not only from your presentation but from your visual appearance, your personal appearance as well. So it does matter. You have to use a smiley face, you have to show the confidence, you must well dress, your dress must be pressed, you must be fresh, you have to take a bath in the morning on the day of your presentation, you have to polish your shoes, etc. So these things matter a lot. Before starting, or when you are ready to start your presentation, you have to give a strong beginning to the audience. You have to impress the audience with the start of your presentation, because a majority of the audience, majority of the students, majority of the people, they will remember the start of your presentation and the end of your presentation. In between things people do not remember so much, so you have to give them a strong beginning. And normally you can achieve it by telling a story about yourself, a story about an interesting story that is related with the contents of the presentation, because people love to hear stories and they remember the stories more than the contents of your presentation. So it is a tip. If possible, you can start your presentation by telling a story. Okay, so telling story is important. Every business has a story, so what's you have to tell them and show your passion, your desire, right, your attachment with the topic, your love for the subject. You have to love what you are doing and you have to do what you love. So if you are on the stage to present something, you have to show your passion, how much your affection is with the subject, how much you understand about the subject, how you love the subject, and how you love to present the subject in front of the audience. So that is important, that you have to show your patience for the audience. Similarly, beside from the verbal communication, non-verbal communication is important. So you have to make proper use of non-verbal communication. Your gestures are important, your postures, expressions, your eye contact is very much important for your presentation. Your emotions, your feelings, your attachment with the presentation, with the audience, that is important. For example, if you are swelling in the front of the audience, so it shows that you are nervous or you have some kind of problem. Or if you are coughing or sneezing in front of the audience, so there is like an awkward attitude. You have to avoid such things. If you do not avoid such thing, your audience are going to sleep very soon. They will enjoy their naps during your presentations. Be entertaining. Well, do not let your audience sleep by keeping them. You can entertain them by different ice breaking activities. For example, you may ask questions, you can share different jokes during your presentation if it is permissible or if it is allowable, but remember that you have to be careful while you are sharing jokes with the audience, because you have to be careful about the jokes, the selection of the jokes, that it is not targeting a specific religion, a specific people of the society, or it is not about racism or gender discrimination, things like that. So your jokes selection must be done with great care. Even you can engage your audience by different activities. You may ask logical questions. You may give them some hand-on experience, activities. You may engage them in activities. You may ask them for different answers. You can engage them in different discussions about a topic. So you have to be entertaining, and you can introduce different ice-breaking activities for achieving this goal, right? Okay. So okay, your connection with your audience is also important. You have to know about your audience, as I mentioned in the beginning of this presentation, their background, their social aspects, whether they are knowledgeable in your area or not. For example, if you are an IT professional and you are going to deliver a talk for the medical doctors, so you are not required to use very sophisticated terminologies, technologies that are related with your field. You have to make the presentation for the doctors. So what you know is different from what they know or what they are interested in. So there is a common area which will interest you and your audience, and you have to focus on that common interest, relevancy. So for that you have to know about your audience, and you have to connect with them, right? Because people do not love what you are going to tell them. They love to hear what they want to hear. Okay, so for that you have to know about the audience, and also you have to connect with your audience. This is very important. You have to make the two eyes, like not 4 eyes but more than 4 eyes. You have to keep your eyes on each and every individual, and you have to give the impression that you are actually focusing on each and every individual. You have to give the impression that you are only you are equally treating the audience by making eye contact with each and every individual who is present in the hall. So this is basically the art of communication as well as the art of giving presentation. You have to make the eye contact. Relax. Before and during presentation, you have to be relaxed. Right? If you avoid this thing, you are going to float, you are going to swim in your own swelling, right? So you have to be relax yourself, and for that you can actually apply different things. For example, I remember that one of my teacher, he was always with some sort of object in his hand while he was delivering his lecture. So this thing actually give a sort of relaxation. You do not need to play with the object all the time that is in your hand, but you can keep the object just to give you a positive feedback, just to keep you calm and relaxed. You can take deep breath at the beginning of the presentation. You can take some water. You can take some pauses during your presentation when you feel you are nervous. So you can take some pauses, and you can actually engage your audience at that moment. So keep calm and relax. And you have to keep a smile on your face as well. It actually helps you. It actually gives you a positive energy. It actually helps you to be relaxed all the times. So you have to be relaxed as well. And this is something which is very common in our students normally. Actually, they put large text on the slides and they start reading from the slides. This is actually something which need to be avoided. There is no need to read from the slide. Whatever is on the slides, left it to the readers. If they are interested, they will read it. You have to explain the things in your own words. So that is a bad habit. Leave it for the audience to read from there. Even it is recommended that you have to use very less text, and the text that you are actually providing on the slides, it must be in the bullet forms or in the headings form. So avoid pasting too many paragraphs on the slides and things like that. So the advice here is that you don't need to read the text from the slides, and make your presentation visually attractive and effective. You can put different images, animations, and videos on different slides. Pictures actually speak louder than your words, so you have to make your presentation attractive by adding visual effects, or by adding pictures, animations, videos, and things like that. It will actually help your audience to understand the concept in a better way. So you can, the advice here, or the tip here, is to make your presentation attractive by adding some images and animation, etc. Well, this is something which is respectable in some countries. You have to be careful about the personal space. Even in this situation of the pandemic, personal space is much more demanding. You do not need to get closer to your audience. You have to keep the personal space between you and your audience. So different cultures, the personal space is different in different cultures. So you have to keep in mind the audience, the community for which you are giving your presentation, and how much personal space is required. Ask questions during your presentation from your audience. It will not only help them not to go into the sleep mode, but it will also keep them entertaining during your presentation. You do not let the questions at at the end of the presentation. You can actually ask them during the presentations. You can actually engage your audience by asking them different questions, or by giving them different activities. By asking them to perform these activities during the presentation, you can give them some specific amount of time, or you can even engage them in different types of discussions, which is also helpful in engaging your audience with yourself. Okay, there are some universal design principles which are recommended, and you have to follow them for preparing your presentation, and also for delivering your presentation. These rules, these principles are, for example, what is going to be the font size of your presentation. If you use a very small font size, then obviously that is not going to be readable by the audience. So you have to keep the font face, the font size, even the colors, they are important. If you use very much sharp colors, so they are going to make disruptions. So the font size, the font face, even the spacing, the justifications of the paragraphs, the bullets, their styles that you are using, whether they are readable or not, whether they are readable from distances or not, the legends that you are going to use for the graphs, they are important, the units that you are using, even the alignment of the figures on the slides, they make sense. So you have to make use of the universal design principles while you are delivering your presentation. And the color scheme is also one of the important consideration that you have to keep in mind. So with these final words, I'm going to end this presentation. At the end, I will share my thoughts that you have to be like a joker. You have to be like a magician while you are delivering a presentation. You have to entertain your audience with your words, with your slides, and with your messages that you try to convey by this presentation. And do not be afraid from the audience, right? So be dominant over your audience. Try to be relaxed before starting your presentation and during your presentation. So with these final words, I'm going to say goodbye. Allah Hafiz.